The latest MCU movie, Thunderbolts, introduced us to Bob. He's a character who doesn't look like much, and after this film, we don't really understand how powerful he is. But what if I told you that even Galactus runs away just from hearing his name? Sentry, also known as Robert Reynolds, and his nightmarish alter ego, the Void. And Marvel has only shown us a fraction of his true powers. And this is the perfect time to dive into his darkness and discover the extent of his wildest abilities. And hold on tight, because this guy never does anything halfway. Basically, if Superman and Dr. Manhattan had a baby, and that baby was having a really bad day, well, you'd get Sentry. You're with Kevin Buchart, the favorite theorist of your favorite psychiatric hospital. And today, we're going to discover the 5 totally absurd types of powers of the man with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. Intro. Before diving into this cosmic madness, a quick rundown for those who missed the memo. Sentry, created by Paul Jenkins and Jolly in 2000 in the series of the same name, is Robert, also known as Bob Reynolds. This ordinary guy, who's willing to take anything as long as it looks like a drug, comes across an experimental serum, the Golden Sentry. Sentry serum, supposed to be 100,000 times more powerful than Captain America's. As a result, he becomes a superhero with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. No big deal. He's friends with Reed Richards, saves the world, but there's a problem. That problem is the Void, his dark side. An evil entity born from his fractured mind, possibly caused by a mental virus implanted by Mastermind in New Avengers issues 7 to 10 from 2005. The Void is the exact opposite of Sentry. Where Bob saves lives, the Void destroys them. But they share the same body, like a cosmic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And in Thunderbolt, we see that one cannot exist without the other. So, for the good of everyone, he has to put his powers on hold, because he is simply capable of anything. And if he looks like the perfect hero, blonde, radiant, with a cape, it's because that's the image he has of a modern hero, a sort of Superman. But even if all of that looks really cool, they are much scarier than that, and you'll understand why. Number 1, super strength. If we had to sum up Sentry's strength in one word, it would be fluctuating. Because yes, his power depends entirely on his mental state. If he's calm, he's a living god. If he's depressed, well, he's still a god, but less stable. When he's at his best, he can lift hundreds of tons without breaking a sweat. And he's even ranked among the strongest beings in the Marvel Universe. Here are a few examples to give you an idea. In New Avengers, he grabs Carnage, one of the biggest psychopaths in the Marvel Universe, takes him into space, and literally tears him in half like an old subway ticket, in just a few seconds. In the Siege arc, same fate for Ares, the god of war, who is also torn in half. That's kind of Sentry's signature move. He made a fool out of Terrax, former herald of Galactus, like an adult play fighting with an infant. Sentry swept him aside. He moved a helicopter like a bath toy, and even the body of a dead celestial, much larger than Earth itself. Not to mention that he destroyed the moon with a single punch. We're talking Dragon Ball Z level power here. In a previous video about Hulk, we talked about their fight in World War Hulk, where they ended up in a draw. But I didn't tell you everything. You should know that Sentry, even unconsciously, always sets limits for himself. His powers are whatever he decides they are, depending on his mood. And that's where the Void comes into play. When Hulk remembers his encounter with him, he curls up, sucks his thumb, and trembles. And for good reason. In the 2005 Sentry series, the Void has fun breaking every bone in Hulk's body. And no, that's not an exaggeration. He literally broke all his bones. And the big green giant was left traumatized by it. But that's not all. Sentry can also absorb solar energy to further increase his strength, because why not? And above all, he has never shown any clear limits to his power. It depends on whether he had breakfast and did his morning meditation. But still, here are a few more examples. He didn't even flinch when punched by the Thing, he atomized Thor, and destroyed Asgard with the Void. In short, you're starting to understand the character. When it comes to brute strength, Sentry plays in his own league. Number 2, super speed. In addition to being a powerhouse, Sentry is also like a real fighter jet. He can think, move, run, and react at completely inhuman speeds. He's been seen catching bullets in midair like swatting flies. He easily surpasses the speed of sound on Earth, and he even goes so fast that it's estimated he can reach orbital velocity, about 8 kilometers per second without any effort. Tifo Chim, seriously. But that's nothing compared to what's next. He's able to fly to the sun for a few moments, while light itself at the speed of light, which is the fastest speed that exists. It takes more than 8 minutes for light to cover that distance, so he flies several times faster than light, which is normally impossible. But this is Sentry. Clearly, even Flash, Silver Surfer, or Superman have to struggle to keep up. Lately, he even showed that he could travel light years in a ridiculously short time. At that speed, he literally bends space-time around him, almost traveling through time. Thor, who is used to interstellar speeds, was completely thrown off trying to keep up with him. Number 3. Indestructibility. Sentry is almost indestructible, like really. Nothing seems to stop him unless he himself has decided to die. He has survived incredible things, extreme atmospheric conditions, the vacuum of space without collapsing, nuclear explosions right in his face. Nick Fury admitted that S.H.I.E.L.D. still hasn't found a way to kill him, and when Iron Man tried to scan his body, the result? No flaws. It's the perfect technical inspection. He was disintegrated by Morgan Le Fay, whom we talked about in the episode on the 10 most powerful witches, but he came back and took her down. He threw himself into the sun, was disintegrated again, and still came back, intact. For him, death is just a slight setback, a painkiller, and he's back on track. As always with Sentry, everything depends on his mental state. He can ignore the most violent blows, but if he decides it's over, he can literally self-destruct. A striking example is in Siege, where he outright asks Thor to kill him. And Thor obeys, because when Sentry asks politely, you say yes. Just to say, even the ultimate nullifier, the most powerful weapon in the MCU, had no effect on him. A weapon capable of killing a Celestial. But before we continue, I invite you to like this video if you enjoy it, and let me know in the comments who you would like me to introduce in the next video of this kind. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed yet, well, tell me why in the comments or just subscribe. Alright, let's get back to it. Number 4. Energy absorption and manipulation. Sentry can draw energy literally from anywhere, whether it's the microverse or the negative zone, but his main source is solar energy directly from the stars. And that's what gives him the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. That should brighten your day. But wait, that's not all, because he's also able to share his powers. And on that point, Sentry isn't selfish. No. Sometimes he transfers some of his strength to others just to raise the bar. For example, he took a young boy named Billy Turner under his wing and gave him powers similar to his own, making him his sidekick under the name Scout. He even treated a dog named Normie by giving him a portion of his powers. And bam, the dog becomes Watchdog. He's really generous, Sentry. He even shared a bit of his cape essence with Hulk, just to protect him from his dark side, the Void. Then, he has photokinesis. Yeah, it sounds technical, but basically Sentry can generate and control light. Just imagine that. He can create hard light constructs like solid objects. And that's kind of like Dazzler, but in Sentry mode, super powerful version. He's already used it to stop an energy attack from Terrax, or even to dazzle his enemies. Them with a light so bright that it literally blinds them. And that's not all. He can control every aspect of the light he emits: direction, frequency or color, amplitude or intensity, and even the duration. He can spread light around him or generate light pulses capable of dazzling anyone within a radius of several kilometers. Basically, he's a sun in a box. And with this light, he can even calm Hulk to the point of making him almost childlike, since he starts to believe that Sentry and his wife are his parents. Because yes, it's not always about violence. Here, for example, it's a bit like the soothing power of a caring father, but that's not all. Still, by controlling light, he can disappear by bending the light around him. A little bit of light magic and poof, he becomes invisible, which is pretty handy for spying. That's actually kind of what happens in the movie Thunderbolt, where he literally absorbs all the light that comes to him, like a real black hole. And of course, the energy blasts. He can generate light, heat, kinetic force, and other forms of energy as powerful and devastating blasts. His favorites are his optic blasts, those famous rays coming from his eyes or his hands, capable of burning Hulk's skin, blowing up entire city blocks, and even destroying Hulkbuster armors. When he merges with the Void, his blasts become crimson red and are even more devastating. When Sentry unleashes a ray, there's not much left afterwards. Molecular manipulation, does that ring a bell? After a confrontation with Molecule Man, one of the most dangerous guys in Marvel, the one who actually allowed Doom to become a god in Secret Wars, Robert discovers that he can also rearrange molecules. Like, Molecule Man turns him into a puddle, and Sentry just rebuilds himself through sheer force of will. But be careful, he's a lot less precise than Molecule Man. Sentry is kind of like giving a laser scalpel to a guy with shaky hands. It might work, but it's not exactly reassuring. This power likely lets the Void transform into many monstrous forms, as seen in New Avengers when he single-handedly faces the Avengers and X-Men. And in theory, thanks to that, Robert could heal from anything, simulate almost any superpower, or even alter matter and energy at will. Well, if he learned to control it better. And since he overcame his agoraphobia, hello, Uncanny Avengers, he's mastered this power even better than before. And that's honestly scary, but it's not over yet. Robert can create objects or creatures just by manipulating molecules. Basically, DIY God vibes. A miniature werewolf in the palm of his hand, no problem. A force field to block Terrax's cosmic attacks? Easy. And at the peak of his abilities in telekinesis mode, he even stopped Mjolnir, thrown at full speed by Thor, just with his mind. He can influence biology. One day, he walks into a room and heals his psychiatrist's paralyzed daughter. On the other hand, the Void gives an incurable cancer to a young mother from a distance. He can even bring the dead back to life. Ultron killed Robert's wife, but Robert revived her with a touch. And he doesn't even know how he did it. He doesn't really control that power either. And once again, that's even scarier. Well, as a little bonus, the super senses. And finally, of course, Sentry also has heightened senses. He can see radiation particles. He can hear someone calling him from the other side of the planet. He claims he can hear a mosquito in Central Africa from New York. So yes, it's really a mix between Superman and Dr. Manhattan. In short, Sentry is a huge glitch in the Marvel Matrix. A sandbox capable of doing absolutely anything its creator decides to make it do. And every time he discovers something new he can do, everyone just hopes he stays in a good mood. We'll see what the MCU has in store for him. But you get that we still haven't seen anything at all from this character yet. If you like this format but missed my video on the 10 most terrifying Hulks in Marvel, you can find it here. See you Sunday for the next video. Meanwhile, stay curious. That's the secret to happiness. See you.